You know the feeling. You are doing everything right, watching your calories, maybe even checking your blood pressure, but you still feel a deep systemic sluggishness. You have that stubborn belly fat that just won't shift, or you wake up feeling puffy and inflamed despite your doctor telling you that your blood tests are completely normal. Research now calls this a silent epidemic. It describes a massive, invisible cohort of people whose organs are suffering from profound metabolic stress long before a doctor can ever diagnose it. You aren't sick enough for the hospital, but at a microscopic level, your cells are physically struggling to generate energy. The mainstream trap is relying on standard blood work, specifically kidney markers like creatinine and eGFR, to tell you if you are actually healthy. Here is the terrifying truth. These are lagging indicators. Your kidneys can lose up to 50% of their function while these numbers remain perfectly normal. They look normal because the remaining surviving cells are working overtime, hyper-filtering to hide the damage. The other major trap is looking at your chart and thinking, well, I don't have high blood pressure and I don't have gout, so I don't need to worry about salt or uric acid. This is a dangerous assumption because metabolic damage happens inside the cell long before any physical symptoms ever appear. In this video, we are going to prove that your metabolic stall and this silent organ damage aren't just about aging. They are driven by a specific metabolic villain hiding inside your cells, intracellular uric acid. We will uncover how a hidden mechanism called the fructose trap is actively hijacking your mitochondria, depleting your cellular energy batteries, and turning your body into a permanent fat-storing machine. To understand why you can't lose the weight, we have to look at the biological engine running inside your cells. Under normal circumstances, when you eat glucose, it fuels your cells. But fructose operates under a completely different set of biological rules. It triggers an enzyme called fructokinase. Unlike other enzymes, fructokinase has no safety brake. Imagine this enzyme as a gas pedal pushed all the way to the floor. It revs your cellular engine so hard and so fast that it completely drains your battery. In biochemical terms, this causes a rapid catastrophic drop in phosphate and ATP, your body's primary energy currency. When your ATP drops this fast, your body panics. It flips a primal survival switch that generates uric acid directly inside the cell. Most people think of uric acid as just a waste product, something that causes gout in your big toe. But inside the cell, it is a highly destructive pro-oxidant. It acts like a chemical firewall, completely blocking your cell's ability to burn fat, a process called fatty acid oxidation, and forces your body to store fat instead. To really understand the damage, we need to look inside the cell. Imagine your lysosomes, which are essentially your cell's recycling centers, trying to clean up this uric acid. But uric acid forms sharp, jagged crystals. Picture these crystals acting like microscopic shrapnel, puncturing the delicate skin of the lysosome like a popped balloon. This leak releases caustic digestive enzymes directly into the cytoplasm of the cell. This internal damage presses the ultimate panic button, a sensor called the NLRP3 inflammasome. Think of this as a cellular self-destruct sequence. Once pressed, the cell physically swells up with fluid and violently explodes in a process called pyroptosis. What is left behind is no longer a healthy, functioning cell. It transforms into a scarred, stiff, zombie cell. It cannot filter blood, it cannot produce energy, and it cannot burn fat. Now, imagine this silent accumulation happening over months and years. If you continue the dirty metabolic habits you think are harmless, the damage moves from the molecular level to the systemic level. You transition into a state known as fatty kidney phenotype, mirroring the exact pathology of fatty liver disease. Because these cells have lost their ability to burn fuel, a terrifying process begins called capillary rarefaction. The tiny, microscopic blood vessels feeding your organs literally dissolve and disappear. Your kidney and liver tissues are slowly starved of oxygen. This leads to progressive scarring, or fibrosis, that is completely irreversible. And remember, standard lab tests will say you are fine while this is happening. We know this mechanism is absolute because biochemistry does not lie. Research confirms that ATP levels in the liver can plummet by 30 to 40% within mere minutes of fructose ingestion, triggering the immediate production of inflammatory uric acid. The clinical validation is just as stark. A comprehensive study of over 2,000 participants showed that those with the highest levels of insulin resistance had a staggering 3.89 times higher risk of developing chronic kidney disease, even if they had never been diagnosed with diabetes. Your cells are suffocating, and the fat is just a symptom of this microscopic trauma. But how is fructose getting in there if you aren't eating sugar? You might be sitting there thinking, but I don't even eat sugar, so I must be safe. And this is where we have to pivot, because this is the real aha moment of your metabolic mystery. Even if you aren't eating fruit or high fructose corn syrup, you are likely trapped in something called the insulin uric acid axis. Here is the hidden connection. High insulin levels physically lock the exit doors in your kidneys. Specifically, chronic insulin activates a transporter called URAT1. Think of URAT1 as a bouncer at the club who is supposed to kick troublemakers out. But when insulin is high, the bouncer turns around and shoves the uric acid right back into your bloodstream instead of letting you pee it out. Now you are stuck in a vicious loop. High insulin creates high uric acid, and that high uric acid goes back and causes more insulin resistance by damaging your mitochondria. But where is this fructose coming from if you aren't eating it? This is the domino effect that is wrecking your metabolism. It is a terrifying internal chain reaction called the Polyol Pathway. Your body actually has a survival mechanism to manufacture its own fructose from scratch right inside your organs. It happens in 3 distinct steps. Step 1 is the trigger. You sit down and eat a meal high in starch and high in salt. The salt creates an immediate signal of cellular dehydration, while the starch spikes your blood glucose. Step 2 is the conversion. Sensing this stress, your body activates an enzyme called aldose reductase. This acts like a secret internal chemical factory. It takes the glucose you just ate, converts it into a sugar alcohol called sorbitol, and then converts that sorbitol directly into fructose, right inside your kidney cells. You didn't eat fructose, but your body just made a lethal dose of it. Step 3 is systemic failure. This internally generated fructose triggers the exact same fructokinase trap we talked about earlier. It rapidly depletes your ATP energy and generates a massive wave of uric acid. This sudden surge of uric acid attacks your Krebs cycle, specifically blocking an enzyme called aconitase. When aconitase is blocked, your mitochondria's ability to burn energy is completely shut down. The cell has no choice but to shift gears into de novo lipogenesis, the biological term for synthesizing brand new fat from scratch. This brings us to a massive myth that is keeping millions of people sick. You have been told that salt is perfectly safe as long as you don't have high blood pressure. This advice is dangerously incomplete. The research clearly shows that high salt intake is the primary trigger for the polyol pathway. Even if your blood pressure is textbook normal, eating high amounts of salt forces your body to convert glucose into fructose. A salty, starchy meal leads to the exact same kidney damage, the exact same fatty liver, and the exact same insulin resistance as eating pure sugar directly. The symptom is the weight gain and the fatigue, but the root cause is this hidden factory pumping out fructose and uric acid inside your cells. Now that we know the culprit, how do we dismantle this internal fructose factory and reverse the damage? We need to clear out the uric acid, lower the insulin, and switch your cells back to burning fat. To do this, we need to divide your nutrition into a clear, clean versus dirty list. First, the things you must stop immediately. Number 1 is liquid fructose. Sodas and fruit juices are devastating because they deliver fructose with high velocity. Without fiber to slow it down, this liquid sugar hits your liver instantly, causing that catastrophic drop in ATP. Number 2, you must eliminate the salty, starchy combinations. Potato chips and pretzels are the ultimate metabolic trap. The combination of salt and glucose triggers that internal polyol pathway we just discussed, forcing your body to create fructose from scratch. And number 3, cut out processed meats like bacon and salami. They are loaded with nitrites and advanced glycation end products, or AGEs, which physically stiffen the blood vessels in your kidneys. Now for the start list. To heal this damage, we need to focus on clean keto. I am talking about healthy fats like avocados and high-quality olive oil. When you consume these healthy fats, your liver produces a specific ketone called beta-hydroxybutyrate, or BHB. BHB is a metabolic hero. It physically blocks the NLRP3 inflammasome. By consuming clean fats, you are actively preventing your cells from triggering that self-destruct mechanism caused by uric acid. You can also include low-fructose fruits, specifically berries, because the fiber prevents the hepatic overload that crashes your energy. But food alone isn't enough. We need a specific intervention to re-engage your cellular fat burner. We need to switch your kidney cells from burning sugar to burning fat, a process called fatty acid oxidation. The ultimate tool for this is intermittent fasting, specifically a 16-8 protocol where you fast for 16 hours and eat in an 8-hour window. Biochemically, fasting is the master key. It drastically lowers your insulin. Remember that URAT1 bouncer we talked about? When insulin drops, URAT1 unlocks the doors, allowing your kidneys to finally flush the trapped uric acid out of your system. Fasting also activates AMPK, the master energy sensor, which induces autophagy. This is a deep cellular cleaning process that allows your kidney tubules to regenerate their mitochondria and restore efficient fat burning. You can amplify this recovery with a 2-minute habit right now using 3 specific nutrient heroes. First, tart cherry juice extract. It contains powerful anthocyanins that inhibit an enzyme called xanthine oxidase. This is the enzyme that creates uric acid in the first place, acting like a natural version of the gout medication allopurinol. Second, take vitamin C. Vitamin C competes with uric acid at the URAT1 transporter. It crowds the exit door, pushing uric acid out of your kidneys and into your urine. And finally, drink high-quality black coffee. Coffee is rich in chlorogenic acid, which activates the NRF2 pathway, a genetic master switch that protects your organs against fibrosis and scarring. By applying these steps, you stop the internal production of fructose, flush out the uric acid, and finally unlock your ability to burn fat. But now that we've stopped the internal production of fructose, we need to address the damage coming from the outside. In the next video, we'll discuss the gut-kidney axis and how leaky gut is sending bacterial toxins straight to your kidneys, fueling the fire we just tried to put out.